Number 10, know what you want to do. All right. Now that might seem pretty self-explanatory or like a no shit, but you'd be surprised. I'm on a bunch of groups on Facebook and stuff, and probably uh, 3 or 4 times a day, people will post, "Hey, I'm looking to start a podcast and I don't know what I want to do," or "I'm looking to start a podcast and I don't know what to talk about," or "Looking to start a podcast and I don't have a name for it," or it's just like, they go on and on about what they don't know what they want to do, and they're already losing right there. With What the Fuck But Why, if you follow me and Lackawanna, you might know the story, but basically I always wanted to do a podcast, and I put Luke on the podcast because he never even knew about podcast, and he was listening to Joe Rogan and stuff, and he came back and he's like, "Oh man, I love it, but like I want to talk, like I want to call, like is there a way to call?" And I'm like, "Nah man, this isn't like Howard Stern, you can't call." And then he's like, "We should start a podcast," and I was like, "Yeah, I've been wanting to start a podcast," and it came together, and we were working on the name and the direction of like what we wanted to do. And I'm glad I just said that, because with knowing what you want to do, I'm not saying you have to have the next year mapped out, because like with What the Fuck But Why, it grew, right? And like the Social Prophet and even Lackawanna and the church and then now this, and like it does grow, but you have to start somewhere. And if you have a general direction of what you want to do, I think it helps you. But if you just have no idea what you want to do, and you're never going to grow, So with that being said, like a good example, let's say you want to do a podcast, you're not really sure what to do, and you come up with the idea of, you know what, I want to talk about murder mysteries, So there you go. You want to talk about murder mysteries, and you can, that's like a general direction. Now, there's a lot of steps after that. Like, do you want to be audio? Do you just want to be video, which is a whole nother thing? But I don't think I have that actually for a list. So, I mean, that's a huge thing too. And what I tell people who message me, I say, listen, just starting off, just do audio. Just see if you like it. See if you can talk, because everybody thinks they can podcast. Everybody thinks they can talk. And luckily for me, I was a graphic designer, like I said, and a videographer. So I know like angles, I know cameras, I know lighting. So, and I know how to edit. That's like a whole thing. Like, that's why people, when people tell me like, you should do this, you should do that. And it's like, I know, trust me, I know, but it's like a lot of work, especially if you have kids and a family, having to like I have an angle right there. I have this camera, and with What the Fuck But Why, we had a security camera. That's 3 angles. We had the microphone. If I have a guest, that's another mic. And then that's like, now I have a mixing board, but it'd be like 2 different audios. You have to put it together. If you take a break, you have to clip it up. You have to pause, and you have to like match it all up. Like, it's a whole thing. And that's why I love sometimes when people watch me edit and they'll be like, holy shit, dude, this is what you do? Like, wow, like, holy shit. And that's also why when people want to do it themselves, all of a sudden, once they really get down to it, they're like, oh, damn, like this is now, because maybe they were judgmental of other creators and stuff, and they're thinking, holy shit, like, so it definitely is not as easy as I thought. And a lot of the top creators you watch on YouTube have editors. You know what I'm saying? Like, ask Casey with his fishing vlogs. Like, somebody like Casey, he has to not only fish and get good content and be funny and be a personality, then he has to go home and he has to edit it and he has to do clips, So, and so, see, I could get lost. I should just do like a whole podcast on just that, but I'm gonna try to keep it sectioned off. I don't even, but so I can keep veering off. But to keep it simple, so that's my first piece of advice: is know what you want to do, at least a general idea. And I say, if you're just starting off, forget video. Just do an audio podcast. If you're dying to do video, okay, set up one little camera. Don't worry too much about the lighting and all that. Just get in the groove of, talking into a camera. And that's another thing that somebody like the Great and Powerful SP does. I make it look easy. No, I'm just joking, because everybody knows, like, people, guests that come on my podcast, like, they be in the comments too, like, oh, you said this, or, you should have said that. And then after they come to record, after it's done, they'll be like, damn, man, that was tough,
It's going to come out before or after, but I want to give a small retraction since you brought up the Ray episode.
Should have said that. It's a case of the should have said that.
No. I said something wrong. It's not that I should have said it.
You're admitting to being wrong.
I was wrong. We were talking about the Mandelbrot set, and I think it was on that episode, or it might have been afterwards. But we were talking about the Mandelbrot set, and I linked it to what I misremembered as chaos theory. It's imaginary numbers.
Imaginary numbers. Okay, so
instead
of saying that, now you're right again.
Yes.
So you were wrong since the last podcast.
Yes, I was.
Now you're right again?
But you didn't air it yet, so I haven't been wrong yet.
Because it's like, Ask Lackawanna. Right when you hit record, something happens. I don't know what it is, but that's why when they say, like, lights, camera, action, boom, and you're like a deer in headlights. It happens to everybody. All of a sudden, it's hard to become natural. Like, even right now, I feel pretty natural, but, it's still tough because you're fighting to you have all these ideas like racing in your head, and you have like cameras and lighting, and you're checking your audio, especially if you're doing it all yourself, and it's not that easy. So that's why I keep coming back to, like, start simple, start small. And I'm telling you, like, I'm basing this off of what people tell me and what people want to do, and they talk and talk. And I'm not talking shit, because I do it too, but they talk and talk about, like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And, like, that's all they do, though, is talk about what they're going to do. Just do it. Use your iPhone. People will be like, oh, I need a camera. There's your camera right there. I technically could do this whole podcast with my camera. The only reason why I don't is because I hate the way Apple, transferring files with Apple. I don't know. Maybe somebody has a better way of doing it, but I don't know. It's a pain in the ass to me. And I have the cameras anyway. So you definitely don't need a camera. But if you do, use your iPhone. So I'm going to keep that in this number 10 too. No excuses. Know what you want to do for the most part. And just one step at a time, right? Just start with one podcast. Start with half a podcast. Start with one vlog. Don't get caught up on what I'm doing. Don't get caught up on what your favorite creator's doing. Because if you go back to their first podcast or their first vlog, it looks like shit and it sounds like shit. So, if you want to feel better about yourself, definitely go to your favorite creator's very first podcast and be like, all right, I have some room for growth. People don't want to grow. They want it right now. And that's a product of this new generation of, like, TikTok and Instagram and, like, now. And it just doesn't work like that. And if you think it does, try it. You'll see, all this shit you talk on me, which is fine. I invite it. I don't care. But you'll see it's definitely not as easy as people think. But as long as you have a general idea of what you want to do, that's a good start. And don't listen to people. Just stay within that. And I promise you it will grow. As long as you keep doing it every day, it will get better. It will grow. And you'll look back in a couple months and be like, damn, I thought that was good, And then, like, your new content, you'll be like, man, that's dope. And then 3 months later, you'll be like, man, I thought that was good. And you'll just keep growing. So know what you want to do. Keep on working. One step at a time. It will grow. So I'm going to move on to my number 9 advice for young, new creators. All right. Number 9 on my list.